Hello and welcome to another episode of Garry's Mod Server Reviews, and today I shall be reviewing a server called Friendly Players, who host a modified Dark RP game mode. The server holds 50 slots for people to join, which is actually filled up for most of the day. But first I'd like to apologise for the quality of my video right now, as it appears to freeze up at times because my computer isn't at top notch, so I found it quite difficult to record 50 players in a server all doing different things. But in fact, I haven't actually seen the server empty yet, when it's useful if you're not in the same time zone. But this server is based in America, yet its peak times can range throughout the day. Even when I'm in the UK, it can be peaked in the afternoon or the morning or anything like that. So if you're looking for a populated Dark RP server, this is definitely the one to join. However, I noticed that having a large amount of people on the server can make it very stressful for the administrators. But a problem I really noticed was that there weren't many administrators for the people breaking the rules, if there were any online at all. I mean, I couldn't see any at the time when so many people were breaking rules. So I asked in the server multiple times if there were administrators, in which nobody replied. So it took a few hours before an administrator actually joined and dealt with the rule breakers one at a time. But one administrator can't manage 40 to 50 people when half of them are rule breaking and the other half are calling for them to help. So there was definitely a lack of administration around the place. I mean, sure, they can use the argument that it's not in their time zone, but they should get administrators that are in different time zones so that they can literally cover all of the day, because they do get players that aren't necessarily at peak times in America. But not to mention, it was difficult to tell if there were any administrators on at the time, so I had to call out several times and no replies came back for a good while. And even when an administrator did come on, it was impossible to tell that he was an administrator without him telling me one-to-one that he was an administrator. So a recommendation for them would definitely be to put their admins out there so that they can be seen, and rather than people crying out in the server asking for an administrator if he's not even there. So administration on the server was a little disorganized, as I don't believe they have that many administrators to allocated time zones, considering their server is populated throughout most of the day. But moving on to the actual game mode of the server, it looks very unique in the way that they've been modified. There are classes that you can only gain after playing a certain amount of time, which I think is fair and splits their players between short-term and long-term. There are lots of different classes and equipment, and even hats that you can earn by playing a long time. You earn lifetime XP over a period of time in which allows you to purchase these things, or you can just purchase them with Dark RP money. For example, you can buy a top hat for $1 million. So the game mode is a great modification from the normal Dark RP, and it really sets this community out from the rest. However, a big problem I continually noticed was the amount of times that people were being demoted by votes. Usually when a player sees a demoting vote, they click yes, even if they have nothing to do with the situation. This makes it really easy for some players to abuse this and demote players randomly if they're annoyed, or if they want to ruin people's fun. So whenever somebody was killed with a legitimate reason, like a gangster killing a cop or something like that, they were demoting the killer because they were upset about dying. So in my opinion, demotions should be kept to administrators, as players simply can't be trusted. But moving on to the added jobs that you can access from the beginning, there's a builder class that is available to 2 players on the server who can sell tool guns to players that can help them build and also help them build houses. However, I noticed that people were only using it to their own devices, which kind of made it a selfish builder role. A recommendation would definitely be to force them to help other players, or just sell tool guns to the public, a lot like a gun dealer is forced to sell their guns to the public, or else they can get demoted. This wouldn't make it such a rush to try and get that class to only help yourself. Although another part I liked about the Lifetime Awards was the ability to have different classes for gangsters and police depending on your lifetime experience. So this gave you something to strive for when being a police officer. But this was made much harder by the fact that there were so many players trying to demote each other. I never actually made it to police officer. I mean, there were too many players voting no when you made a vote, so it can be quite difficult to get to voting classes unless you're favoured in the server. But other than the ability to demote, the game mode is very well coded, and I would definitely rate it 9 out of 10. But moving on to the players of the server, it was easy to tell that many of them were breaking the rules. This community classes itself as a semi-serious roleplay, as an administrator told me. So I let several things slide that you wouldn't expect to see on a serious roleplay server. But other times there were people just running around, shooting you, punching you, and spamming music through their microphones, and trying to find any way to annoy you or ruin your fun. I saw people breaking rules too many times to make it fun, and just trying to be a general annoyance. For example, in one of my clips, I'm a car salesman, in which a SWAT ran in, spam music down his microphone and made it impossible to hear other players using microphones. So I think that the real letdown of this server is the player base. If you're not being killed, you're being arrested randomly. There's always something on the server that ruins your time, and there's hardly any administrator to deal with it. So a big recommendation to friendly players would be to get some more administrators in. I understand that they have applications for them, but choosing some deserving administrators would help them too. The few players who were actually playing by the rules continually wanted there to be more administrators around, but the big problem with this community's player base is that many, but not all, won't vote for you to be a class, so this makes it really difficult if you want to be a police officer. So the player base is the biggest letdown in this community, and really does ruin it. But lastly, I went onto their website to see what they have available. It seems very organised, where they have split off their different servers into different sections, and kept everything very tidy and easily accessible. For example, they had the Counter-Strike area, as well as the Dark RP area, and they also had a Minecraft area. But the first time I had a look on the forum section, it was all really easy to access and find exactly what I needed. They have a specific section to show all the rules for each individual class and the main rules for the roleplay server. So the website also includes an arcade with several different games on it, which I suppose are good if the servers are down, but the forums were definitely organised and well made for the server. So I would definitely congratulate them on their ability to make websites. But overall, the community wasn't the best due to the player base being so poor. The most important thing in a community is the player base, with the server coming second. So because of this, I'm rating this community 5 out of 10 due to its lack of administration, the poor majority of its players on its servers. But if the player base were better, then this community would do really well due to the great modifications on the game mode. So a recommendation would definitely be to get more administrators on each time zone and sort out the rule breakers, and would make it a much more enjoyable experience for everyone. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to see more, and if you have a server that you want me to review, then send me the IP and I'll review it.